pencil grips that I made for the Pentel P200. I made 40 in total, and we'll get into all of the differences. But just here's a look at some of the different types of bodies that I made to fit those wonderful Pentel pencils. These are more technical drafting style pencils with small, medium, and large grips. And here are some more classic pencil sizes, or shapes rather. Okay, now I'm going to do a grain shot. Okay, now let's go look at some knurling. Oh yeah, there's some good knurling. I 3D printed, I designed 40 different bodies for the Pentel P200 series mechanical pencil system. And I'm going to show you, but let's draw a guy first. This is a man. He's eating a hot dog, and I think yeah, I'm gonna make him blue, like kind of a blueberry, because he looks like a blueberry to me, and he likes to eat hot dogs, and his pants are really good. Okay. This is the Pentel P200 Sharp. It's one of my favorite pencils. It's, I don't know, $2 to $4, maybe $8 on Amazon, and it's really inexpensive and has a very nice clutch. Here are all the pieces of it. There's the clip and the body, which is basically just a tube. Here's where the action's at. It's like a clutch and a tube holder. We'll look at it up close later. There's the eraser and the ferrule and the cap, the tip. Oh, we're going by a little fast now. Let's take a bigger look at the clutch, see what's going on here. It's these sprung jaws that are pulled back or into a die or like a ring that compresses them around your lead, and behind that there's a little spring. There we go. Yeah, here's all the pieces of the Pentel P200. Okay, let's take a closer look at the clutch mechanism. So we're going to look at it from the side in the clicked position, with the clutch jaws forward of the collar that squeezes it closed. And you can see the tip and the spring I cut in half behind the collar. And in purple, that's a little O-ring that keeps tension on your lead, so it stays out and moves out one click at a time. It's a pretty great mechanism, but we don't really need to get into that right now. I just made some tubes. So here's some of the different grip types that I made for the Pentel. Here's a knurled grip, and this is like a wave grip that I made, and like a bubble grip. These are classic mechanical pencil grips. Oh, and this one is kind of like a Christmas tree. I called it a crest, or a cresting wave. Here's some knurling and some of the waves. And where are the bubbles? Oh, here's the bubbles. And this is the cresting wave, and we'll look at these like a lot closer. Oh, I almost forgot. There's the hexagonal straight grip. Here we go. And also I made like an ogive type thing, or I don't know what it's called, like a fish grip. But we'll look at all these later. You know, like not just my drawings. And then I also made different bodies for them. So the knurled ones got a hexagonal body, and all of the bubbles and the waves, they got a nonagonal body, and it's really hard to draw nonagons. Those are all of the different bodies that I made for the pencils. So I'm really good at drawing, but also it's really hard, and I have a lot of important things to do. So I'm not going to draw every one of the 40 pencil grips that I made, but I did print them out first thing I did was a couple types of grips. So I've got knurling. Here's an example of knurling. And, well, we'll go through all of the grips later, but for now, I wanted to show you that I made the knurling in different sizes. So this is a 10 millimeter knurled grip, and then this is a 12 millimeter knurled grip, and you can see it's just a little bit fatter for a little bit more control. And then I also made an 8 millimeter knurled grip here, and you can see that the 8 is a little smaller than the 10 and the 12, and also the pattern of the 10 millimeter knurling and the 12 I think is really optimal and better than all of the knurling in my mechanical drafting pencil collection, except for the Alvin Draftmatic DM-07. But this is really great knurling. In 8 millimeters, I had to make the knurling cuts smaller and finer, and it actually feels much more like Rotring 600 knurling. That's finer, but still very grippy. Here, let's take a look at it in another color that we might see a little bit better on camera. Let's see. Apologies for my manicure. Okay, there we go. That's the 8 millimeter knurling. It's very fine, but still very grippy. I like to touch it. Do you like to touch the knurling? Yes. Okay, but seriously though, this is good knurling, but this is better knurling. This is like tactical knurling. I've got tactical knurls. I won't drop this in the battlefield of when I am looking for my car keys on the way to the mall, Mom. But actually what happened was these cuts are so deep to make such knobby knobs that are really wonderful tactical knurling, that they would actually go through the pen body at 8.5 millimeters. So, in fact, if you hold this up to a light, you can almost see some pinholes through the grip here. But anyway, this one's still pretty nice. It's not totally indestructible, but again, if you're gonna break, your mechanical pencil, you're gonna bend this tip, and that's just gonna happen when you drop it. And having a light pencil actually makes that less likely to happen. It's a tactical body, tactical pens for real men. We have tactical pens. Rawr. Okay, so anyway, back to these bodies. I made the knurling in 8.5 and 10 millimeters, and then also 12 millimeters. And I did the same thing for a number of other classic grips. Plastic pencils are really nice. They're warm to the touch, and also you can make a lot of really nice grippy designs on them in 3D printing that you couldn't do before with injection molding, because knurling would not slip out of a mold. Its whole job is that it doesn't slip, but that's not good for injection molding. So you see smoother injection molded pencils with classical grips such as the Wave. Here, let's just look at some 8.5 millimeter examples. We have this Wave, which is a sinusoidal cross-section here. And then we have what I like to call bubbles, which is very similar to the Wave, but as they increase in diameter, you'll see that they become more distinct in the way they look and they feel to the touch. And then the last grip that I made for my pencils is this sort of crested Wave, where there's a directionality to a sinusoidal wave that makes up the longitudinal cross-section of this pencil. I kind of like this grip a lot, but mostly in 12 millimeters. Anyway, there's all of these 4 grip styles, and then also a hexagonal straight body, like a regular pencil, because pencils edges. So there's the smooth hexagon, and there's the ridged hexagon. This reminds me of a classic Conti Criterium lead holder that sometimes you'll see on eBay, made out of aluminum. Later on, Bic bought Conti and now makes the Bic Criterium lead holder, which is phenomenal. But anyway, this grip reminds me of that, and I like it. One more grip that I actually did make was the, my friend Joe calls it an ogive or something. I don't know the name for this sort of fishy shape. Like, I'm a little fish. Okay, no, that's the wrong. With a tip on it, it kind of reminds me of the shape of either a dart or a plumb bob, or a very famous pen, the Lamy 2000, or pencil. You know what I'm saying. And I made this in a smooth version. This is the smooth version, and then I made a version with these ribs. I like the ribbed grip version. I actually think this kind of shape is sort of ugly, but it feels surprisingly good in the hand. And so those are the types of grips that I made. And so I made, big bubbly grips and big cresting wave grips, and then medium bubble grips, and all the combinations is what I made. And there's like 40 files, and you can go download them and maybe print your own pencils. Okay. So also one more thing. For every pencil, I made a long and a short version. The short version is exactly the same, except this part of the pencil is 12 millimeters shorter, or 13 or something like that this way. And it makes a shorter pencil. Here, we'll zoom out a little bit. So this is the short version of the pencil, and this is the long version. One, of course, has a 12 millimeter grip, and the other has a 10 millimeter grip. But that's the difference in length. It's not huge, but I feel like it affects the balance nicely on certain pencils in a way that I like. So all of them have a short and a long version that you can print. Oh, and one more thing. All of the bodies behind the grips are generally 8.5 millimeter hexagons or nonagons, except for this ogive-shaped guy. But in the 12 millimeters, I made a version like kind of this chungus that has a very sort of fat back instead of the more tapered traditional drafting style back. One of the ones that I really love that surprised me was this short crested wave style drafting pencil, and it feels very nice in my hand, and I feel like it doesn't rest like this. It kind of sits more up, and its balance is more towards the paper. I don't know how to describe it, but this has been a very interesting pencil to me, and I hope you guys print it out and really love it. Yeah, it's a weird one. Okay, we're gonna look at some pencil knurling up close and listen to the sounds of the knurled pencils. The purple pencil reminds me of Harold and the purple crayon. It's really nice to have a set of pencils in different colors and sizes and hardnesses. Very pleasing to draw with. I find that the smooth pencils, or the smooth shapes, lend themselves to sanding more than the knurled shapes. These are more or less raw out of the printer, where these have been sanded first with 220 grit sandpaper and then 600 grit. I have sanded them up to 1500 grit, but I feel like a little bit of texture to the plastic sanding up and down the surface of the pencil really feels nice, much like Macrolon in the Lamy 2000, or just an old type of big light or cast plastic that you might have seen in the 20s. It's a little lighter, but it still feels really nice. So this is sanded, and I would only recommend sanding this sort of rounded pencil shape. And these are unsanded, and they look like they're 3D printed. And we'll get into slicer settings and how to make your own pencils, but I think you're really gonna like it. I hope everybody liked what they saw today and goes and prints their own perfect pencil that becomes their dream pencil. And if you liked it, please gently smash that like and subscribe button. Okay, thank you very much. I love you. Goodbye. This guy was like, he was in a metal band, but back then it was like what all the respectable people did. Because if you wanted a job in banking, you just had to be a metalhead. It was like, oh yeah, I'm a super metal agonized dinosaur, and I just have to put up the front, but I'm like a really happy guy. But I wanted a job in banking, so I just put on this shirt and tie every day and go get my headshots taken, and so I could be like a dinosaur. But also back then they were really into these diagonal stripes. They hadn't invented knurled patterns. It was a primitive, actually pretty advanced primitive species. He's got of course, I mean this guy, he had to pretend to be in a metal band, but in fact he had a pocket protector. They were actually like pretty cool back in the day. He's had some pencils in here. Okay. And like also business attire.